A particularly beautiful woman is a source of terror, as a rule. A beautiful woman is a terrible disappointment. Your vision will become clear only when you can. Look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better take things as they come along with patience and equanimity. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. In all chaos, there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, there love is lacking. The one is the shadow of the other. A man who has not passed through the inferno of his passions has never overcome them. The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. One looks back with appreciation to the brilliant teachers, but with gratitude to those who touched our human feelings. The curriculum is so much necessary raw material, but warmth is the vital element for the growing plant and for the soul of the child. The pendulum of the mind alternates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. The creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct acting from inner necessity. The creative mind plays with the objects it loves. Every form of addiction is bad, no matter whether the narcotic be alcohol or morphine or idealism. Knowledge rests not upon truth alone, but upon error also. Man needs difficulties, they are necessary for health. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases. Through pride we are ever deceiving ourselves, but deep down below the surface of the average conscience a still, small voice says to us, something is out of tune. We are born at a given moment in a given place, and, like vintagers of wine, we have the qualities of the year and of the season of which we are born. Astrology does not lay claim to anything more. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. Often the hands will solve a mystery that the intellect has struggled with in vain. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. The most intense conflicts, if overcome, leave behind a sense of security and calm that is not easily disturbed. It is just these intense conflicts and their conflagration which are needed to produce valuable and lasting results. The man who promises everything is sure to fulfill nothing, and everyone who promises too much is in danger of using evil means in order to carry out his promises and is already on the road to perdition. The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved, but only outgrown. The debt we owe to the play of imagination is incalculable. I have treated many hundreds of patients. Among those in the second half of life, that is to say, over 35, there has not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life. Dreams are the guiding words of the soul. Why should I henceforth not love my dreams and not make their riddling images into objects of my daily consideration? There is no such thing as a pure introvert or extrovert. Such a person would be in the lunatic asylum. There is no birth of consciousness without pain. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. Masses are always breeding grounds of psychic epidemics. We deem those happy who, from the experience of life, have learnt to bear its ills without being overcome by them. For a young person, it is almost a sin, or at least a danger, to be too preoccupied with himself. But for the aging person, it is a duty and a necessity to devote serious attention to himself. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. The word belief is a difficult thing for me. I don't believe. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing, and then I know it. I don't need to believe it. Man is not a machine that can be remodeled for quite other purposes as occasion demands, in the hope that it will go on functioning as regularly as before, but in a quite different way. He carries his whole history with him. In his very structure is written the history of mankind. All the works of man have their origin in creative fantasy. What right have we then to depreciate imagination? Follow that will and that way which experience confirms to be your own. We should not pretend to understand the world only by the intellect. The judgment of the intellect is only part of the truth.